Joining us now is Mike Batchman, who's a local leader and works with an organization called BASIC Basic, and he's been there on the ground, experiencing the situation firsthand, alongside our own folks there. Mike, thanks so much for joining us.
I appreciate your time, allowing me to speak on the situation today here at St. Louis and Ferguson, Missouri.
Well, we want to hear what you have to say. And first, could you just give our listeners a little bit of what BASIC is all about?
BASIC is an acronym that stands for the Black Alcoholic Service Information Center. It has been in existence since for the last 31 years. It's a community-based organization founded by our director, who is Oval Miller Sr. Our whole concept is based on a non-traditional approach to drug and alcohol treatment that's specifically designed for the inner city or the black community. We feel that we have a unique set of circumstances. We have a unique problem as far as drug and alcohol abuse is concerned. And we've understood that traditional models really don't work for the African American community. So Mr. Miller has, over the last 31 years, come up with treatment strategies that are specifically designed to assist minorities in overcoming alcohol and drug abuse. We boast an alumni that has been in existence for 29 years. We actually are the only program in the Midwest and maybe the country that is not only culturally specific, but we're gender specific also. We actually have two programs, all males program and all women's program, that are directly across the street from each other in St. Louis, Missouri.
So as a result of your work in that area, you know the community well, you know the issues of the community well, and you've been spending time now as a result, perhaps as a result, there in Ferguson, dealing with the situation there. And what do you think's happening next? They imposed a curfew last night, and our feeling was that was a very bad idea, that was criminalizing, in effect, the presence of the people in this community, and after a certain hour. But, there's different ways to look at it. Do you think that was responsible for inflaming the situation last night?
Oh, definitely. They were really targeting a group of a population of young men who we at BASIC work with on a daily basis. When you see that type of behavior, it's really a voice that's not being heard. They're acting out in frustration, anger, or sometimes violence. And we deal with young men who are on probation, parole, undereducated, underemployed, poor housing, poor medical access, all those things that really are the undercurrent to what you're seeing there. For the most part, during the course of the days that I've been spending there, and I've been spending long hours from 8 o'clock in the morning to 12 o'clock at night, each night, and watching the community galvanize itself, watching the different protesters coming in from out of town or the local inhabitants here, coming together for a common cause. Once that element has subsided, and the rain caught us last night, the other element that is coming out are our youth, the underserved population. They're angry, they're frustrated, and when you show a show of force as such as they do at that time of night, tensions are high, and they're looking at our young men as the enemy, and they're really not. They just want to be heard. For many years, I've heard young men come into our organization and say, we're at war. And I always ask them, who are you at war with? And they always say the police. And because they never have a positive interaction with police here or across the country, per se.
And I know that Captain Ron Johnson was trying to change that, and a very powerful man, powerful personality. But you get the sense watching this situation from a distance that there's, and I mentioned it a few minutes ago to another guest. It's almost as if there's a civil war among the police right now. That you've got Captain Johnson trying to handle it one way, but then you've got perhaps the Ferguson Police Department trying to handle it another way, and now you got St. Louis in there too. Is that a fair description?
there's a definite division between the police department versus Ferguson Police, County Police, and the Highway Patrol. There was a gentleman that was on TV earlier yesterday whose store had been looted. He called the 911 to Ferguson Police. They referred him to the County Police. The County Police referred him to the Highway Patrol, and the Highway Patrol referred him back to the Ferguson Police Department. So there is
So,
a division.
yeah, it seems like the Ferguson police they're resentful that it's gotten taken away from them. They're trying to get it back, and I even saw there was on CNN the other night when Captain Johnson was first brought in. Captain Johnson was standing shoulder to shoulder with a African American. I forgot what he's called. A commander and one of the
Community activist.
and no, a police officer, but an African American police officer from
Right.
Ferguson standing with Captain Jansen, and then the head of the Ferguson police was kind of trying to intrude in between the two of them to speak, even though he wasn't originally even part of the interview. And that seemed to me like the visual metaphor for like how the Ferguson police and how the leadership of it that they were really trying to get community leadership the community could relate to, and someone like Captain Johnson being African American, being so much more compassionate and so on, but that this guy was trying to inject himself back in the situation of control,
Well,
and I'm just wondering if that's part of what we're seeing here.
the reality of it is they're using, and he's a wonderful brother. I've met with him personally on the street during our interactions. He's very sincere about it, but his hands are tied.
Mm.
They're just using him as a pacifier, someone that the community could relate to. They say, okay, he's a brother from the community. He's lived in the community before. He's like us, but they have given him no power. I remember Friday morning when they did the press release with the first chief of police who decided that they wanted to give out the police officer's name, Darren Wilson. And he had a packet that he gave to some of the newscasters, things of that nature. Later on, Captain Ryan Johnson came. He didn't have one. They didn't give him. He didn't even have privy to knowing that there would be a newscast at that time at Ground Zero. And he was visibly upset because he couldn't answer any of the questions that the community had asked him because he didn't have the information. Another thing that has happened is that they say that this is an ongoing investigation and that they couldn't give information out at this time, but yet they provided a video of Michael Brown altercation at the store. I thought that was part of the ongoing investigation. So why would you give out that type of information or evidence without providing additional evidence from the other side? So it's a play on words at this time. It's a play on a community that's very conscious. We're not blind, deaf, and dumb here in St. Louis to what's going on. I've been in St. Louis. I'm 66 years old. Been here all my life, and I know that St. Louis is in the surrounding areas. And I want to say that because we got about 40 municipalities surrounding St. Louis. St. Louis is the most racially divided city in the United States. Clearly defined. 95% of South Side is white, and 95% of the North Side is black. And most of the news that is being assimilated on our newscast is all about the North Side, North St. Louis, the hot spots, things of that nature. Well, the hot spots and the things that they talk about are the young men that you're seeing out there today standing up at the end of the evening, not only during the protest, but at the end, at night, confronting the police officers because they want to stand up for their rights and they want to be heard.
Right. And one of the things why do you not, in a city like Ferguson, why do you not have a police force that reflects the community? Why do you not have a head of a police force that reflects the community? How did that situation come to be? He almost seems like an antagonistic figure who's trying to make this, I don't want to judge him. I don't know the man, but this Captain Jackson, I believe his name is, the local, the Ferguson police. It almost seems like he's trying to antagonize, inflame. Yeah. Why do you have him in charge?
Well, the reason why is because St. Louis is a very, I'd say, moderate city. It's slow to come about. We're in the Midwest. We have a Midwestern mindset. Ferguson is a very old city. with very traditional ways, methods of doing things. And the city fathers who run Ferguson are really pretty set in their ways, and they want to see things the way they've always been. This is nothing new as the Ferguson Police Department. My father-in-law, he was actually back in the 70s, 80s, early 80s, was the first black police officer in the city of Ferguson. And he was the only one until he retired. So it's traditionally speaking, Ferguson has always been that, but at that time, majority of it was the white population. Since the migration, it's along that north corridor that I was talking about going into the county, that Ferguson, the migration of blacks moving into the county areas during the 80s and 90s, and the apartment complex is it's not a housing project. It's an apartment complex that Michael Brown was killed in, which is predominantly black at this time. But it's set off to the side. There's really only one way. There's one way, two ways in and two ways out. But it's a community that those strip malls feed off of or provide services to. But it's predominantly black over there in that area. But they're having white police officers come in, and Ferguson. These small municipalities also. It's not something that's not being said. We don't get the best police officers at these small municipalities because of budget, things of that nature. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, if you graduated from school, did you graduate at the top of your class, at the bottom of your class? Well, many of these police officers didn't qualify for county or other, St. Louis City, so they are accepted in these small municipalities. Where
and yet they...
Pardon?
Go ahead.
And most of the revenue generating capacity is based on traffic stops, stopping them for traffic violations and charging them enormous fines for not having your proper license plate or proper registration. And these small municipalities, if you go to their city halls on court day, there's 200 or 300 people standing in line to pay these enormous fines. And this is why, so, I mean, it's all about revenue generating and it's preying on a population that is underserved, financially strapped, minimum wage jobs, moderate jobs, not the upper echelon of our society. But that's who they put on for their revenue.
And as we've said so many times in this broadcast here, treating them like an enemy or a force you have to occupy, a population you have to occupy rather than your own community. So what do you think is next, Mike? We got tonight coming up. We got this curfew situation. What are you going to be doing tonight?
I'm a lion. I'm never going to retire. I've been fighting the fight. I was in the civil rights movement back in the 60s as a teenager. I'm not going to end this. My mission is to assist in uplifting fallen humanity. I'm a Muslim. I was at the mosque earlier today, and I was listening to the Minister for Directions, Minister Farrakhan for Directions. We have civic leaders. We have community-based leadership here in St. Louis that you really don't hear about that's on the ground every day. Basics is a part of that. We're on the ground fighting this fight in our community every day to strengthen it, uplift it, educate it, properly educate our young men and women in the process, and hopefully get them. The ground has to be prepared before the seed is planted. And, there's a lot of tilling to do at this time to properly educate them through our wisdom that we've obtained from our own personal experiences, and hopefully guide and direct that energy that they possess today, the youth. I was sharing with one of the brothers earlier, I wish I could bottle it because it was so much energy out there, but to properly channel it, that's going to be our challenge, but I know we can do it. I know we can because I think for the most part, except for that small population, and I'd be honest with you, I really know that small population. Like I said before, I deal with them every day. I understand their hurt, their pain, the frustrations that they're going through. So we have to be patient, but we're not going to stop and we're not going to end this. This is a movement, and hopefully St. Louis could be the architect of a new world order as far as our young children and how we need to address them and raise them and to be able to give them some. One of the things I've noticed is that in our community here, our young men, they've taken away their imagination. They can't imagine doing anything or doing anything at this time. They really struggle with nihilism, where life has no meaning, no purpose, no love, and no hope. And when you walk out in that world of despair, feeling like that every day, then this is the result of what is going on. That is the way that they are able to express themselves, as I said. When we're not being heard, our voice becomes frustration, violence, and those things that we see. But it's not going to end. I want to give. Really want to give honor and respect to a brother by the name of Anthony Shaheed. Many people have seen him on the news and with the chains around his neck and the dogs. But this is a brother who has been fighting the battle here in St. Louis for the last 30 years without stop. And I want to commend him for it, and I want to let the rest of the world know that this is a brother that, when all the celebrities are gone, all the high-profile people, and all the speakers are gone, he will still be here standing to fight the fight, and I'll be standing with him.
Well, I know you will, and I want to thank you for all your wonderful work. I want to thank you for your leadership, and also I know you've been looking out for our guys there who we've sent down there, and I want to personally thank you for that as well, and really appreciate you coming on our program and sharing your insights today, Mike Batchman.
Well, thank you very much for allowing me to.
It's our pleasure. It's our honor.